The cancer genetics team at University Hospital Wales have been investigating the genetic links in bowel cancer by researching families that have been affected by it.
What we've managed to do is to identify a gene that predisposes individuals who carry it to bowel polyps and to bowel cancer. We've managed to develop a test based on that gene, and that's been implemented in the NHS and throughout Europe. Practical example of the benefit of gene testing from MUYTH is illustrated by these three sisters. Their late father sadly died with bowel cancer, but they've been able to have gene tests to establish whether they are at risk of developing the condition and have screening and treatment, surgical treatment, to avoid the development of bowel cancer.
My dad, when he was ill, nobody knew he had so much cancer inside him until he got the screening. Then we realised, it was so far gone ahead, there was nothing much they could do. So for me, definitely, if I didn't have the screening, I think there'd be more polyps and then I'd have cancer more earlier than if I didn't have the screening. So definitely, I think it's a must.
But in my case, the polyps are quite developed, and there's a lot of them, and so I thought, okay, then let me have the operation.
The research is clearly successful on a clinical basis, but has also been a commercial success too.
What we've done is we protected our intellectual property through patents in the United States, and we then licensed that to a diagnostic company, Myriad Genetics, who are undertaking testing for patients throughout the USA. So the university in royalty payments have had about £250,000 so far from this.
Of particular value in this area was the more commercially driven assistance given by the Wales Gene Park.
The Gene Park was really essential. The patenting of genetic information and licensing is a highly specialised area and not something that we as researchers would have been familiar with or able to do without expert help.
The team were further assisted by the infrastructure and facilities available to them locally.
In Cardiff, we were very lucky to have a well-established Institute of Medical Genetics with a lot of expertise. So we had people who had the skills, we had the equipment, and of course, through the Clinical Genetics Service, we had access to families affected by this problem.
Prolong our life, we have that chance, for our kids as well, because we know what we're going through. We tell our children, at least they've got opportunity in life, to get themselves tested. The
key thing is seeing the benefits to patients and seeing individuals having the opportunity to avoid a dreadful disease, bowel cancer, through testing, screening and early treatment.
We've had that chance in life to prolong our life. We have that chance, for our kids as well.
Prostate cancer is an immense health challenge in the UK, with around 10,000 men dying from it annually. A research project was undertaken in this field in conjunction with the Medical Research Council.
The project involved us running a large-scale randomised controlled trial in the UK, in Canada, and in some other countries. And effectively we were randomising two groups of men, one of whom got the standard of care, which was hormone therapy alone, and the other men got hormone therapy alone, the same hormone therapy, plus also a course of radiotherapy. Then all of those patients were followed up for a median at the moment of 10 years.
We were looking at men with locally advanced prostate cancer. What that means is men whose prostate cancer had spread beyond the confines of the prostate gland itself, but not to other distant parts of the body. And this was done by taking part in a very large international trial. It was a trial effort which was spearheaded on this side of the Atlantic by the MRC Cancer Trials Unit and in North America by the National Cancer Institute of Canada. And the aim of the trial was to answer this question as to whether men with locally advanced prostate cancer did better if they were treated with radiotherapy in addition to their hormone therapy than they did if they were just treated with hormone therapy alone.
What we found is that the group who had radiotherapy lived longer than the men that did not have radiotherapy.
In fact, the death rates from prostate cancer were roughly halved in the men who were treated with radiotherapy. Now that's a very important difference, that's a very large difference. And it's an important change because it triggered a change in clinical practice. It meant that men were no longer recommended to be treated with hormone therapy only, but all men who were suitable for radiotherapy were offered radiotherapy, and that should be happening in the UK now, should be happening worldwide now. I think this trial has improved the standards of care worldwide. First of all, it's been a change in medical practice. It's been part of a trigger of a worldwide change in approach to these men with locally advanced disease.
Guidelines, recommendations from around the world, as well as in the UK, now suggest that radiotherapy should be included as part of the standard of care for this patient group, in addition to their long-term hormone therapy.
The aim now is to treat these men aggressively, and that seems to have been very well accepted. It's something which is now taken up widely by oncologists and by urologists.
This trailblazing research has had other benefits, including building strong links to enable further international collaboration, as well as motivating further prostate cancer therapy research.
I'm involved in another trial with Malcolm called Stampede, which is looking at a series of different drugs and treatments that may yet go on to further improve outcomes for this particular group of men.
The bottom line in terms of mortality is that the odds of dying were reduced by 54%. That's pretty significant.